welcome to Win Today podcast. My name is Cyrus Jaffrey. I have two co-hosts, Mr. Kilgo and Benito. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
What's going on?
Good to have you guys. So, hey, Insurance Producers Podcast, man, this podcast is all about how can we make you better as a producer? How can we give you more value? And we bring on top-notch producers across the country. That's going to help you completely change the game for you. So today, man, we got some rock stars and they're a good friend of mine's. And I'm super excited to introduce these guys. So Jake and Dustin, they're with Warren Mounce Agency out of Missouri, and they're just doing some great things, man. I can't wait to dive in and see how things go. Jake, Dustin, welcome, man.
What's up, man?
Excited to be on. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're pumped, man. This is
Got it. Other than being Chiefs fans, they're great. But all right, let's rock and roll. All right, hey. Guys, tell me just a little bit about your background, each of you, real quick, and we'll just kind of dive into some questions.
Yeah. So my name's Jake Warren. My background. So I was actually with State Farm for about 7 years. I was started as a producer, and like I said, was there from age of probably I've been in insurance coming up on 10 years. So really, my whole professional career, I was with State Farm. In the transition from going from the captive side to the independent side, me and Dustin, how Dustin actually got into all this. Me and Dustin have actually been friends our entire life. But we were doing some sales training for State Farm agencies. We were doing on the sales and marketing side. And after that, 18 months or so, almost 2 years. And then we decided, hey, we're training everybody else to do this, let's just do it ourselves. So we opened up an independent brokerage. It's me and my wife, and then Dustin and his wife. And outside of insurance, man, like, what do? I like working out. I like being outdoors. Me and my wife been together for 10 years, married 4, with no kids, got 2 dogs. Pretty simple person. Chiefs fan, big Chiefs fan, big Broncos hater. So that's always good. But no, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, so like Jake mentioned, we've known each other forever, and I actually was in education, so I was a teacher for 6 years, basketball coach, high school football coach, all that stuff, and loved that. But at the same time, I really liked the amount of money that we were making. My wife was also a teacher at the time, so we were just trying to live life and raise a family. And I've got a 5 and a 3-year-old, and whenever kids came, it was just, hey, we want to better ourselves and have more opportunity to just live a little bit more of a financially free life. So got into the consulting, like Jake said, doing that with him. And when we, started the plans to open up the agency, it was him and I, and then like you said, our wives, and we've just been a team, and got it rolling from there. That's where we are now.
Yep.
I need Travis Kelce and Juju to have big weekend this week. Fantasy, man. I got to win this fantasy money.
That's pretty easy thing for them to do, man.
That's
Well,
right,
they're
it
not
is.
playing the Broncos, so it'll probably be easy.
Sorry, so Broncos haven't won a game against the Chiefs since 2012. Okay.
Oh, okay. Next question about work.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
all right. Hey, tell us a little bit about, okay, so how is your agency? So these guys, so they just finished 1 year, almost $5 million in premium. So they're coming in strong, have some niche stuff that they're doing, but tell us about your dynamics inside of your agency. So like, who is doing what, and like, what's that look like, and how have you had that success?
Yeah, man. So, we started in September of 2021. Man, when we were at State Farm, all we did was PNC and life insurance, right? I mean, I remember we had turned so much commercial stuff down. So we knew, like, hey, we knew that. We knew how to do the PNC book. And we live in a small town outside of Kansas City. Our population is probably 8,000, 9,000 people. We're both local. Actually, me, my wife, and Dustin are all locals, and then your wife is up from Northern Missouri. But so we're all locals, okay? So we have pretty good reputations for the most part. So we knew, the presence of us opening up in town was going to be good. So PNC, we started up with that. That was our main goal, is to get the PNC up and rolling, and then our life insurance. So it was just us 4, right? So me and my wife, Dustin and his wife, we operated like that for the first 4 or 5 months there. Added on 2 other employees, and then we kind of started dabbling into the trucking insurance side of things, transportation side, and then we actually figured out there's a lot of premium in there, and we was like, okay, we need to figure this out and scale this bad boy. So during that time, we were all producing. Okay, me, Dustin, my wife, Amanda, we were all producers. And then, like I said, once we got into the trucking side, we started delegating things out. Now we got a personal, one of our employees just handles all of our PNC. We have another guy that handles all of our trucking. And then we are still in the trenches because again, we're still brand new. We're still learning from guys like yourselves. Yeah, I guess that's
Hey, how did you bring on, when did you know to bring on your first, a lot of people in this podcast that are listening to this, one-man agencies, two-man agencies, maybe they're like, man, like, how can you bring on somebody so fast, right? So you guys maybe put some numbers down and say, God, it makes sense to bring on somebody. So a lot of people have trouble with this that I talk to. So like, how did you know when the time was right to bring on employees for you to become a leader, not just a quoter potentially of just quoting business?
yeah.
Well, okay, so I would say from a number standpoint, I don't think that maybe we necessarily did what a lot of people do and said, okay, we've got these numbers, here's how it's going to look, we can do it right now. I think the biggest thing for us was having a complete fear of failure, knowing where we were going to go regardless. We knew where we were going to go, where we wanted to get to. So whether the numbers matched up perfectly at that exact moment or not, we knew that in order to keep growing, in order to keep scaling the way we wanted to do it, we just needed to do it. So just like when we opened up our business, we opened it up and we knew we weren't going to be getting a paycheck for a while. And so the only thing that mattered was produce. And the quicker you can get people in there, the longer you can keep, just grinding it. It's all going to work out. So that's kind of, I would say that's how we approached it.
Yeah. And add to that, like, when we sat down and we did our business plan originally, like, I remember we were sitting at, Dustin's house and my house and, going through everything on what we wanted this to look like year 1, year 2, year 5, all that. Well, we got into it, and then what happened? You started just producing, right? You're having quotes coming through. It was fast. I mean, because everybody was coming through from State Farm, from previous people that I had worked with in the past. And then we started noticing, like, hey, we're not being able to capitalize on the social media game, on everything that we wanted to do originally, because we're just working quotes. We're selling. We're working in the business and not necessarily working on the business. So. So we're like, okay, we got to take a step back here, right? We're doing great. Like we were rocking it out from September to December, right? And then we kind of transitioned our focus and adding another department with the trucking. But at that moment, we're like, okay, we can't do all of this. We're starting to get the phones to ring a little bit. Our social media game is slacking. We're not being consistent. So we took a step back and said, hey, we need to bring people on. So that's what we did. And honestly, we should have done it. Said we should have done it from day one. We should have those people in place from day one. That way it didn't take us 4, 5, 6 months to get those people in place. I feel like we're hitting the ground running right now. Like I feel like everything, when we got a podcast going now, like we have a lot of stuff going on, and I feel like, I mean, again, not saying that there's not things that we're not doing the most efficient way, because we can always be better. But I feel really good.
And you guys, you guys had some, you both were in education and trainers and had some things like that, I guess, with that, State Farm and previous jobs. When you brought, the staff in, how did you guys have that set up for training? I mean, there's so many questions for you guys because you guys are, family, you got the wives in there working. So there's a lot of questions that people are going to know about that. You guys are educators and obviously salesmen. So there's a lot of questions, spearheaded on that. You guys blew up your first year. A lot of people struggle in their first year trying to figure out how they're going to do the marketing, how the leads are going to come in. So there's a lot of things that we can go into here is, I guess, with the dynamic you guys have, how did you guys write that script? How did you guys write that out and say, hey, how are we going to come together on this? How are we going to play, this game, and how are we going to write this out and then just have it come to, have that writing on paper come to life and take off?
There's a lot to unpack in that. Okay. So with the dynamic that we have, obviously, working with your spouse is different. Okay, for myself and my wife, when we were both educators, we've worked together or in the same area pretty much our whole time that we were, after college, right? Once we got into careers and once we got married, it's really been that way for us. So it's been a pretty smooth transition for us in that dynamic. Jake and Michaela.
No, we never. We do some real estate stuff on the side. We try to flip 1 or 2 homes a year, and we work together with that, right? Design part, contract, or I kind of pull all the strings with the contractors in place. So we work together on that, but not on a daily basis. My wife actually used to be a dental hygienist on her day-to-day job, and I think Dusty's going for it. I think he's going to let him finish. I'll say,
Well, it takes a lot of communication, okay, even when it's difficult to communicate, because essentially it's just like when you guys have roommates in college, your best friends, over time they become a roommate to you, okay, versus
Right.
just him and I are best friends, and we do a really, really good job of communicating with each other, but we still annoy the absolute heck out of each other on a day-to-day basis now because we're together all the time. So knowing that you're going to have challenges, and we knew from the very beginning, okay, and knowing that those are going to come up, and being okay that they're coming up, even when you're frustrated, understanding that the one common goal that all 4 of us have is to have an exceptionally, successful business and grow this thing as big as we can get it. When we remember we got that one common goal, it makes it easier to get through any of the, hiccups or miscommunications or disagreements, all those types of things. But at the same time, it's definitely not easy. Okay, now the dynamic piece of it, as far as I think roles in the office, is something that we struggled with really the first 6 to 8 months, because we were trying to do so many things, and our only goal, all 4 of us, was to just produce. So Jake would be doing this and that, and then I would be doing this and that, and then the girls were doing this and that. And I think, especially for them, I think that they need something to have a defined goal and feel like they're bringing value to what we're doing as a business. And so I think making sure that is communicated, and that's a really important thing as well.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, like, we all have, honestly, we're moving the ego out of things as well, right? So like, there's 4 of us. So make 4 people all be on the same page is hard sometimes, right?
Jake,
But
we have a hard time hearing you, buddy. Dustin has been great. Like, we can hear him really well. Do you mind going a little bit on the left side?
Can you hear me now?
Be more like Dustin.
Can you
Okay.
hear me now?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
So to piggyback off what Dustin said, so like there's 4 of us, right? And to have 4 people all on the same page is very hard. No matter if you're spouse, if you're just business partners, whatever that looks like, that's super hard. But ultimately, in 5 years, we know we have to have everybody's different niches with what they're good at to be able to run this. No matter if that probably won't. Hopefully, that's not us, right? Hopefully we have other people in place to run that niche. But from a marketing standpoint, from a social media standpoint, from a connection standpoint, like everybody has their niche here, and we knew that going into that. We all had our different personalities. Like literally, all 4 of us are all different.
Right.
I'm very aggressive. I'm very risky. Like I'll risk it all. Dusty slows me down. Like it all kind of averages itself out. So knowing that as well, knowing like now, like when we say we're into this thing, okay, Michaela, she does all the marketing like that. She does all the social media stuff. Amanda's doing all of the content creating. Like it's just we all know we all have our basically strengths, and we're trying to now work those strengths and not just say, hey, we all need to be doing the same thing for us to be valued. No, it's like, hey, what's your strength? Okay, let's rock with it.
Yeah.
And now we have a set place. And that way, as we grow, when we get more people in, we have a process down for what the social media game looks like, what this looks like, what that looks like. And then it's easier to scale because we already got the system and process in place. But that was hard to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool. That's cool, man. I'm intrigued about your social media, man. I know you wanted to. They have a really good social media presence, guys. I know Benito and Kilgo, you might you don't follow them, but I follow them all the time. They're very innovative, and like they have QR codes, and just to make people's life super easy. They have the best TikTok videos, and all that stuff. So where did that come from, man? And I know that's helping you guys obviously build your brand and do it in not like an insurance, like old way, doing it in a modern, funny way of connecting with people on social media. Because here's the thing, you're going to write people about 5 to 10 years younger than you and 5 to 10 years older than you. And all those people are going to be potentially in those. That's going to be that's our target market. At least I want to talk to you, talk about that if you guys could. And I know she does it, but if you could.
Yeah, I mean, so my wife, Michaela, she loves that stuff. And I think I know Amanda, I'll let Dusty speak on Amanda's part, but Michaela loves it. Like she's like, if you look at her own personal social media, she loves playing around with makeup. All that creativity stuff. She's been doing that since, I mean, honestly, like she was making YouTube videos whenever we were together, was 10 years ago, right? Like she had gotten into doing YouTube, and now with YouTube, it just kind of things started going on. And then she kind of got out of it, because she's a dental hygienist, or she was a dental hygienist, so she's seeing patients every day. So she would come home and do it at night, and it was just as a hobby. Then she got into direct sales, and that was a big deal. That was a big deal because she's always hit the social media game with that. And more so, it's just a hobby. So now, when we're talking about the agency, now it's like, okay, now we're doing this for business. Now it's just everything that she was doing before on steroids, basically. So I don't know if that answers your question, Cyrus, but that's where it all started, and we just really. And then again, like everybody, like me and Dusty, like I know, well, I'll speak on myself. I try to stay out of it because I make it complicated. Like if I don't want to do something, I'm not great on camera. I'm like, I don't really want to do that. Like whatever that looks like, but we just tend to make it more complicated. It's like finally we get to the point like, hey, listen, tell us what to do, tell us how to do it, and don't ask us if it's okay or not. Just tell us. And I feel like ever since that, it's been great, even though, you might see us singing Backstreet Boys or something like that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Anyways, I'll let Dusty speak on Amanda's end.
Well, no, I just from the social media standpoint, I think the main thing for us is it's just we made it to where it's consistent now. And even though, I mean, I'll be honest, there half the time it's a reel that I don't really like or want to do. Okay, or it may not be something that I would personally choose to do. The key with all of it is we're subconsciously, social media is a subconscious thing. They're seeing you all the time. And as long as people like you, right, and they're seeing that you're not afraid to be different, that you're, okay with putting yourself out there, even if they scroll through, it's not like if they think something's dumb, they're not going to sit there and think about it for 30 minutes if that was dumb. They're going to say, oh, that was silly, or oh, that was awesome. And then they're scrolling to the next thing. But subconsciously, they just saw Warren Mounce agency on their phone. They're going to see him again tomorrow, and then the next day. And we've just been really good at being consistent, and that's
it's genuine. Like you guys go through and see some of our stuff. Like it's like, man, Jake and Dustin did not feel comfortable in that situation. They are just this is not their thing, right? And that's where most of the time and no offense to it, but I feel like you see sometimes people get on social media and they're trying to be something that they're not. And and that is very easy to see and pick up, on the other side. So we're just us, and we let it out there, and we wouldn't do that if we didn't have those other people in place to hold us accountable, to say, hey, all right, we're doing a reel in 20 minutes. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, well, now it's 30 then. Whatever it is, like we're basically being forced to do it. And that's how I think that's how you have to do things. You got to get uncomfortable with things, like we all know. And I just feel like we do a really good job of like what Dusty was saying, just being consistent. Because that's the hardest thing. It's so easy to do. Everybody's on their phone. It's like you're just wasting time. So just to be, diligent with it and consistent with it, man, is way easy to say.
Where does she get her creative inspiration?
Not from Jake.
I think a lot of
Let's say Jake.
I said not from Jake.
Oh, no, not from me. I don't know.
I mean, a lot of it, a lot of the ones we've done have been like The Office. We'll see clips. Jake and Michaela are huge Office fans. I like The Office too, but I'm not like diehard. But there'll be some, random stuff that, they'll see. And I still like to make it at least as much as we can, like at least somewhat relatable to insurance.
Correct.
Right? Like, so it's got to relate somehow.
Right.
Be not completely because we don't want to come off as just selling all the time.
Right.
But I think we've done a pretty good job of that. So
Mhm.
Yeah. Like they see the sign, because like we also been getting into, trying to get in front of the camera. Like I said, we started a podcast and I think we're on like episode what, we just did one right actually before this. I think we're on episode 14, right? So we try to do 1 or 2 a week. More so one, right? But I don't know, man. Like it's just I think the genuine part of everything, and seeing everybody's personalities, right? And then at the same time, we're still trickling in serious stuff. Like if we're talking about a certain, we've been on this this HELOC strategy that we've been learning about from some guys that are involved with Cyrus's group, and we really hit the ground running with that. So talking about that, where it's like, hey, these are really good strategies. We're not just on these reels joking around and stuff. Like, hey, we do have some really good value for you guys, but we're trying to sprinkle in both, where it's not just, hey, let us come into the office so we can show you how to do this or sell you something or whatever. Like, we're just trying to be a good mix. I think we do a great job.
Nice. Hey, I wanted to ask about the trucking part of your guys' business. One thing that I see, and I want to commend you guys, because as first-year independent agents, I know, coming from State Farm, there was definitely no trucking background there or anything like that. But it seems like every time I see somebody ask in a group like IAOA or any of those, and somebody says, oh, I wrote this trucking account, it's 30 grand in premium. I want to try and blow this up. And, there comes all the guys, like the older guys that have been around the block a little bit, and they're, you're going to have an E&O claim, or, it's like just such a scare tactic when it comes to that line of business specifically, is what I see consistently. What made you guys, look at that niche as something that you wanted to blow up? And then also, how did you better educate yourself in that niche when, it seems like every other person is telling you to turn and run?
well, to be honest, we didn't really take anybody else's opinion into account on whether it was a risk or not, or something we should or shouldn't do. We thought from a business standpoint, this is something that we can scale really, really big, and in the long run. And we're in insurance, we have the ability to write it, we have the ability to learn, we have the ability to educate ourselves more on it. Why would we not if we have the capability to do it?
Mhm.
So yeah, once we figured out that we could do it, and learning more, educating yourself on, it's not a ton different than what we already do. I mean, to be honest, it's just
foreign.
yeah, it's just a little bit foreign, and there's a lot of easy ways to really educate yourself and understand, what these guys need. Because here's the thing, they are running businesses. Okay, truckers are running a business. Right? They don't have time necessarily to worry about, everything that they need to be educated on when they're getting insurance. It's really just a box that they're checking that they know they've got to get done so they can run loads. So whenever we can provide that educational process to them, just like we do for a regular personal lines client, when we get on the phone with them and we're selling a policy, we're educating. And I think that goes a long way with, whoever it is running their trucking company, that, hey, they know that they've got somebody that they can call or that they can ask a question, and we're going to be there for them. That's what I really think has made a big difference.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, like we didn't have a lot of options carriers wise, at the very beginning. So what did we know, right? We knew how to hit the phones. Like I came like so when I was 7 years, I came in probably the 4 years, I was just doing nothing but cold call. Okay, that's all we would do. That's how we built our business, basically, was cold call. You have your network, right? And that only goes so far. And that's another reason why we all teamed up as well, because, everybody's got their own network. So we know how to work our networks, right? And if you got 4 different networks in, well, then we can hammer that bad boy out, plus all the, the money or all the, insurance we bring over the X amount of years. But so we knew how to hit the phones. Dustin was great on the phone. Dustin was a natural on the phones when we were doing the consulting, right? We were calling agencies, hey man, like we got this program to show you guys, like, no, my State Farm agent, he's not here right now. He'll call you back. So it's like, okay, we'll call him back at that time. Like we knew how to hit the phones. So we kind of fell into the trucking, and Caleb, my brother-in-law, Caleb's brother, he was a cold caller for us at State Farm as well, right? And he was right side of me calling, And I remember that kid he got like 20, or not 20, that's an exaggeration, like 14 quotes one day and one day calling. And that was amazing. That was more than I've ever, and so I was like, he had no fear, right? But he didn't even know any better. So we started getting him in here. We're like, all right, let's get Caleb in here. Well, this kid is a freaking genius too. He actually just dropped out of school from a chemical engineer to pursue this full time. Full ride. I mean, he had a full on scholarship from Mizzou. Like the kid is by far, when you're talking to at least me, like his IQ is 10 times more than mine, right? So he came in here and just freaking blew it up with getting so, analytical about everything we were doing with the trucking knowledge, right? So you could bring Caleb. Honestly, we didn't have Caleb on here to talk about the knowledge part because all I knew how to do was sell and get in front of somebody and close a policy. Okay, we can go through, we need $1 million in liability. Okay, we're learning all the, all the filings and all that other stuff on the back end. And then Caleb gets in here and blows it up, and we put him through a good, the trip certification. It was about $1,000 or so, and that taught us all a lot. So just little stuff like that. And then again, not being scared, which again, I have seen some of the stuff you have talked about, but I didn't necessarily see it at the very beginning. That might have scared us a little bit more, if we would have solved it at the beginning. And that's, I think it's great, that's the biggest thing that holds you back is fear. Everybody's scared of something, man. Like I'm scared every day of something, right? And if you just get familiar with the fear and how to handle it, well, then that fear comes up and you already know how to handle the next one. You just move forward. But yeah, that was probably
Jake, I would add, guys, that for a lot of younger agents in your first year and second year, if you're not doing trucking, do that certification, start doing it, or life insurance, because it's very hard to make a lot of money in our industry for the first year or two. So Warren and Mounce creatively, we're like, hey, listen, we're going to do a ton of life insurance, and then we're going to do a ton of trucking, because here's what happens with trucking. You get a lot of money up front, and it's going to make you go through that first 6 months, 6 to 12 months, a lot easier than people doing personal lines, because shit, they're doing 10 accounts. If trucking, that's 30,000 average, that's 300,000. They're going to get a $30,000 check even from Progressive. And then sticking with Progressive makes it easier just because their system is so easy to work through. So you pick one carrier that you're really good at, find 10 accounts a month, make 30,000. Like, why the hell would you not would you not do that?
That's exactly right, dude. Like we had 2 families to feed. Okay. And we had 2 families, 2 households to feed off the bat. Right. And we started with nothing. You know how that is. Like there's no money coming in. So we're like, man, we got to make some more money some way, somehow. So how we fell into that is, okay, yeah, we're doing great with PNC, but man, after you're talking about, there's some things that happened at the beginning that, we had to get into a bigger building than we wanted to get into. So we're like, okay, well, we have a 2,800 square foot office and we got 4 people in here. We got to produce, man. And PNC, it doesn't matter how many quotes we're doing, like me and Dustin are doing life insurance. I think that first 4 months we did what? I remember we called our life insurance guy and he's like, hey, you guys will get, your 80%. And so you get to 50,000 mark. I think, and then he said, then you bump it up to 90%. You're like, all right, we got to get to 90% by December. And I think we called him in November. I was like, hey, man, we're like 43,000. You think you can bump us up to that 90K mark? And he's like, done. So just stuff like that we really just knew like our backs were against the wall. So we got to feed our family and pay our bills. So we just went to the phones.
Pretty impressive, man.
Yeah. Necessity is a great motivator. That's awesome.
And Jason, I don't know who asked earlier, but like when we, decided to hire somebody, how do we know the right time to do it? But I think the key then though is now that we've got 2 other people in here, it's also keeping our backs against the wall, because now we got 2 other people that also depend on us to have a successful business too, right? Like the last thing we want to do is hire somebody and then, all right, 6 months later, well, it's not working. See it, like, because we couldn't figure out how to make it work. So when we bring people in, that also holds us accountable. And it also makes us, okay, how can we do even more to where we can bring 2 more people in, and how we can continue to scale this. And when he was talking about that, having our backs against the wall, it just made me think about what adding people, to your staff, even when you may not quite be ready, what it does for that motivation to keep you rolling. So,
and equals, man, like I don't like I don't like number ones, number twos. Like, we're all equals, man. We're all trying to learn. Like, someone could hire, we brought in another person from another brokerage. She came in and, I mean, she's like, hey, I like doing it this way. And it's totally different than, okay, let's see if it works, right? And then, okay, yeah, that does work. Okay, let's go with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody's ideas are shut down. And I feel like sometimes, at least from where I came from, I've been around a lot of guys that have a lot of, a big ego. They got to be the number one, if not, it's hitting them hard, man. And that's one thing we all talked about is like, even though I've been in the insurance longest out of anybody, like to this day, I'm the dumbest dude in the office, right? So and that's how it needs to be, right? It needs to be like that. Like the day you are in an office where, you know the most at the table, that means you're at the wrong table, right? And that's why, like, I mean, shoot, Cyrus, I mean, we have a ton of respect for Cyrus. I mean, 100%, no matter if we say it to him or not, we don't want to build his ego up, right? But, I mean, the guy's doing so much, and it's so natural and organic for him to do it. So again, yeah, just to
Appreciate that.
I think what you guys talked about earlier that was, really hit home for me is confidence, right? You guys came in and you guys had a game plan. You acted on it and you were confident about it. Like no one could tell you no, right? Like you're just going to persevere and you're just going to go out and win because that's what's putting food on the table for your families, but it's also in you, right? And some of those things can't be taught. Like that's why you guys are owners and not producers, right? So it's that thing. But I think also it starts to change. The dynamics will change for you guys. And I think you guys are already planning for that and adapting and creating the new vision or escalating the vision even further by hiring. And when I think, I think it's a money factor, but I think it's a delegation, right? Like, it's like, I've got so much on my plate, I can't handle it. Let me slide this off. So now I can do more here. Right. And so as you keep sliding things off, that's when you got to keep hiring. You keep bringing those people on and then you're going to grow and get bigger and bigger.
100%. Yeah. What's your biggest suggestion, guys, for maybe first, 2, second, third year agents that are wanting to kind of grow and kind of be what you guys are doing? Is it hone in on social media? Is it, hey, hire somebody, I promise you it will work out? Or is it, hey, figure out trucking, life insurance? Like, what are some 2 or 3 things that you would recommend to some newer agents to have the success you guys have had?
So one of the things that really hit home for us I remember you talking about this to us a lot, Cyrus, and it was really when the trucking was kind of taking off, was you kept saying, make sure absolutely that PNC is still your bread and butter, right? It's still your foundation. And Jake was always telling me that too, like it's our foundation. And no matter what, that is important. Okay. And that has to be, in my opinion, I think
That's good advice.
What is going to last the longest. Okay. And what is going to make sure that no matter what, at the end of the day, the bills are paid and your employees are paid and you're good to go. From there, I think it's really figuring out something that you like to do. Like, what do you enjoy? Right. And I know for Jake and myself, one of the things that we're really, really enjoying now is learning all the different strategies that you do on the life insurance side, with the HELOC strategy, educating people on kind of a different way to think about their finances and the way that they live their lives. That's a fun thing for us to talk about. But so what Jason just said is that on the delegation piece, I think that it's really, really important for people that are trying to grow. If you're going to hire somebody, you've got to be okay with delegating it. And then when you delegate it, you got to understand kind of choosing your battles. Is it life or death? If they're doing something that maybe I don't really like right now, is it really going to matter if we correct it this second? Or can we let it play itself out a little bit? Can we just trust that they're going to figure it out and they're going to get it done? And I think that's a hard thing when you're a business owner to necessarily want to do, especially when you're really, really good at what you do. So I think that's a really, really extremely important thing for people that are trying to grow, whether they're going to hire somebody or not. Like, figure out how you're going to grow and delegate. You got to be actually okay with delegating.
Yeah, trust is a big thing and control is a big thing, right?
It's a fine line.
leaving that ego at the door, man. You know, your name's on the building, that doesn't mean anything, man. Like, that's nothing. You know, you're you're nothing without everybody around you, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you got 10 years of experience and this person has none. Like, they're just as important to the whole process that you are. Everybody has their role, and I'm a huge believer on that. You know, I've always been like that. You know, I've always, you know, if I ever go into a job, like, man, like, I'm just thankful to have a job. So I work my ass off on that, you know, for that guy. So everybody, there's a lot of good employees out there that will do that. You show them a little loyalty, and then bam, you know, they'll work their ass off for you forever.
Yeah.
Well, those are the type of people that, you know, they just don't have maybe the confidence to bet on themselves, right? And that's okay. That's totally fine. Like, do that. That's great for them. But for the people that do want to bet on them for themselves, which all of us in this, you know, on this call, you know, have done, then just have the confidence. It's scary. Like, everybody, like, you guys, I guarantee. I mean, I hope you guys say yes to this, but I guarantee you guys get scared about something every single day with your guys' business, even though you guys are, you know, 10x past us on whatever you guys are doing, right? Like, but everybody's scared. It's how to deal with the scare and how to deal with the fear.
Yeah.
To a new agency, man, just I don't know, man. Just learn. Just try to listen as much as you can, but still have your backbone to know, okay, this is what I like to do, because what you like to do is going to be what you have the most success at too, right? So picking that, taking everything you can around you, or picking what you like to do, say, okay, this is my niche. I'm going to run with this niche.
Right.
I got that niche good. Now, guess what? I remember I was on a call one time with this guy, and I think, Cyrus, you might have been on it too. And somebody asked a question like, hey, what would you do if you had to go and rebuild, rebuild your book of business, rebuild or start a brand new scratch brokerage from today? What would be the biggest advice you would tell somebody? And this guy said, pick one niche and go with it. And that hit hard for me. Like, I'm like, okay, well, that's not why I did this. I did this so we could have all these different niches. So then I kind of started thinking about it a little bit more. It's like, you know what? That's okay. You can do it that way, but you can also do it this way. When you build a niche up, right? You get a good process and system down, right? We knew that had been successful. Mark, check that box. Okay, now guess what? Now what's next, right? Because we get bored. What happens when you get bored? You get lazy. Well, let's get something else. Let's get trucking in our stuff, or life insurance. Let's get some new strategies we can do with our life insurance. We got this good process in place. Now let's get a little uncomfortable and figure out and be the beginners in the group again. Okay, bam, you check that box, and then you move forward, and it's just a stepping. And that's kind of how we think of it, or that's how I think of it. Everybody wants to be the CEO, man, and all this stuff, and sometimes it's just good to be the beginner at every single table.
That's cool.
Or blow things up. That makes any sense at all. I don't know. It makes sense in my head.
Makes complete sense, man. That's huge. That's huge. Shit, we are, man, we're so blessed as insurance people, man, because we can do a lot of things. You're right, man. You could do life and trucking and commercial and personal lines. And it's like, find one of those you really like, man. So you're waking up in the morning excited about going to work and freaking go at it, dude. Medicare, I don't care what you're doing, man. Pick it and go. There's so much available in our industry, man. Go. Here we go. I love it, man. I want to talk about, we got about a 1 minute left. I want to talk about, do you guys have any other questions? Jason, Benito.
Man, I got so many, man. I might have to get you guys on another call, but
we'll have them on again.
Yeah, we gotta have these guys on again, because I think you guys also said something in there about telemarketing, the telemarketer, and
on the telemarketer, man, we've all hit the phones. Owners, everything. Like, we're no better than I don't even like the word telemarketer, right? Because I'm not everybody's hitting the phones, so you can call way more people than you can go knock on a door, right? And so anyway, so go on. Sorry.
No, you're right. I mean, I think that's the problem with our industry, is that I think, shoot, it almost seems like it's 99% of agency owners out there think telemarketing is not the way to do it. And you guys are very successful at it. And I know a couple other agencies that are as well. So it would be, I think a lot of people need to hear, what makes you guys what makes this part of your marketing work, and why others see it as something that is no good and are just so against it or don't think it works, right? So you guys have been able to do this at a high level, and I think, you know, as a new producer, as someone trying to get into the insurance business, as an agency owner, and someone that has been in the business for 30 years, it doesn't matter. It's a phone business.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I you know, like I said, we almost need to get you guys on again
Yeah.
to just break that part down, because that part could lead into so many different niches as well. As, you know, I mean, you could cold call on anything. Anyways, just a lot to digest there. I definitely want to talk to you guys after this.
That sounds like a plan. All right, Dustin, Jake, man, we end this podcast every time. How you win your day. What are one or two things that you do daily that you consider your day one?
Oh, so I work out every day, whether it's cardio or lifting, okay, in the morning before work. The gym's right next door, so it makes it nice. And then intermittent fasting, I know that sounds really silly, but like that has helped me be so much more disciplined, like with my diet and feeling good. We all in the office basically eat around no earlier than noon, basically every day.
Yeah.
He asked me before we got on the call, he's like, "You gonna go eat your lunch?" I said, "No." He's like, "So I eat till like 3:30," and I ate.
Yeah, I was mad that he's fasting longer than me. So anyway, that's what I do.
Yeah.
That's how I took it. I did think he got grumpy with me. I'm like, yeah, I'll eat my lunch later. So my thing, I'm a kind of a creature of habit, man. Anybody ever were to try to find me, I have my spots that I go to, and that's where I do. So I wake up every morning and I go to the gym, right? Me and Dusty at the gym. He's there a little bit before me. But I go to the gym every day. And then the other thing that I'm 100% consistent with is as soon as I get to the office, man, I make a list of at least 10 things I have to do. And no matter if that is, you know, my wife gets to the office before me as well. So, you know, I make the bed in the morning. I know it's so cliche, but just accomplishing one thing right off the bat.
Absolutely.
And then making a list. So I guess go to the
Good for
gym,
you.
make a list of 10 things to do and roll with it.
Make shit happen. I love it, dude. Hey, you guys, thank you for being on, man. It was a great episode. We'll have you guys again for sure. Benito and Jason, thank you guys for being on. Yeah. And everybody have a good day, man. Talk to you guys next
Thanks,
time.
guys, for having us.
See you guys.